Welcome to Unlock Women, the money series brought to you by African Bank with Doric Sitole
and Kanya Sosibo.
And we are talking money. Welcome back to yet another episode, D, looking absolutely fantastic.
Oh, thank you. You are stunning, my lady.
Oh, honey. But also, as we do, we never just wanted to be D and myself. We bring, what's this door? And I'm saying this because she's like, that's what people know her as.
That was the intro. I mean, we go with what she tells us. So.
Yes, and welcome to you. Thank you so much for giving us your time. You also look absolutely phenomenal. I love the pop of red. Love it for us. Love it for you.
Alignment.
So joining us today is Gcobisa Ntshona. She is the Group Chief People Officer here at African Bank. And well, today we're finding out her story. Now, as you know, the lovely thing about this podcast is that we have the BTS, behind the scenes, right? And we were sitting, makeup being done and getting prepped. And people let a lot of things slide. Yeah, they're not sure because the conversation is flowing. So, Gcobisa, I would like to know, because I know that you had an answer prepared, but I would like the real answer. How are things with you, mjolo wako nemali? How are things flowing with you and imali, and coming from Engcobo? Ithini into yakho nemali? Ithini into yakho nemali?
All right. So it's an interesting one. But I think to sum it up, we are cruising.
Nice.
Hey.
We have found the near balance between spending and investing. Yes. So we are somewhere there. Sometimes we hit the sweet spot. Sometimes we miss it.
But I love the word cruising. It's a nice relationship.
Yeah.
And I think with all cruising, sometimes you're a cruiser, then come umunye umuntu akublock, and then you have to. But then you start again and you keep cruising.
Yeah. That's true.
So today we are talking about, when we talk about money, and I think sometimes people want to treat these things as separate entities, but actually they are within us, because how you spend money is part of wena, it's part of your personal brand. So I'd like us, as somebody who deals with people, you work with people, can we talk personal brand? And perhaps you can start from your personal journey of discovering your personal brand, and then also in seeing other people, engaging with people, and then being able to identify whether somebody's aware of it or not, to say, this is actually your personal branding. Because sometimes you stamp, your personal branding by not being proactive, but it still happens anyway.
All right. So I'll probably maybe start a little bit back.
Yeah.
So I am the daughter of a Kasi chick from New Brighton in Port Elizabeth. Ne? Yep. Fell in love with a rural boy from Engcobo.
Wow.
So imagine the money dynamics in the household.
Right?
So it's an interesting one. One is pro-saving. One is, no, let's live
spend.
this life, Yeah. So it's really been an interesting one. And I think a combination of both those two personalities and characters framed my relationship with money per se. But I think fast forward, and we're talking personal branding. And I think the way I see or view personal branding is not far off from money, because it is equity.
Yeah.
It is wealth. So I think if you view it then from that regard, you then start to truly focus on its importance.
Sure.
Because in my mind, personal branding at a simpler version is the persona you create of what you want to be known for. And what it does is upfront, it builds trust with whoever your audience is going to be. But I think that's why I'm saying that it's wealth, because it helps you unlock spaces and doors that you want to partake in. So I think it's important then, it's a good one, and it's an important one. I think with the age and era we live in, which is much more digitized, and I think COVID even front-leaped us into that, there's a lot more intentionality we have to be around then what is said about us across. I think now this space is much more bigger than what I tell you about how I want you to know me, but more about what's also out there that people are looking and reading into.
Sure. How important is consistency to Gcobisa that I meet today here to then what I'm in your position, maybe what I read about you, how I experience you in events. How important is that consistency and alignment, but not taking away from the fact that we are dynamic as a person?
Yeah. So it truly is important, right? But I think for me, the ethos behind it is there's a level of authenticity that goes into this. So if I look at Gcobisa, so I mean, the craft I'm in talks to my love of people, my love of truly making an impact at a personal level in people's lives. Yeah. And what that now we've done is we've then said, what I love, move it to corporate. Yeah. But it's still talking to who I am as a person. I think that's one. I think to where I then talk about authenticity, I mean, I always tell people, I'm a rural girl from the Eastern Cape, right? Who just loves Joburg.
Now when you know rural girl who found love, they were by the city.
Correct, right? And I think the authenticity of it is you have to have it, because then being consistent doesn't become energy draining, because I'm still who I am, be it in front of people or in my own personal space. Yeah. And I think people then get to know me in the manner I want to be known. I think that's one. So I think for me, really, it's how to stay true to this notion of who we are. And what I think we haven't done a lot of, but I think now we're starting to come out, was we were so influenced by what the West does as the stepping stone of what reality is. But I think what I'm loving now with African context is that we're becoming our own. Yeah. We really are evolving into what that means for us. So I'm loving that fact. So I really think for me is if you're consistent in who you are, in what you do, and staying true to what you love, it's bound to filter out. Yeah. So I think that would be my answer to that.
So now, right? So that's the other element of you. I want us to just quickly touch on personal branding, because you spoke about it in terms of wealth. So now I've found me, I'm authentic to me. How do I then translate that into, I guess, my spending, my saving? How best can I align that? So, when we were speaking again in the green room, I was talking to you about, how for me it's books, but as you're saying, it's authentic because we enjoy the reading. It would be shoes, it's bags, it's experiences, it's food, it's whatever. But also, I guess you have to kind of curb the enthusiasm around that. So how do you think then, once I'm aware of my personal branding, do I then filter that into the finance? Because it's easy for the finance to influence a personal branding, because now I've got access to money and now I can spend it. But how do I take that and funnel it into my behavior around money and finances?
So I think there's two sides to this coin. In that, one, it's from a I don't want to say career, because not everyone plays in corporate career spaces. Other people are entrepreneurs and stuff. Yes. So I think for me, personal brand, one, plays into that, to say, what is the brand, the persona you're trying to build and unlock, insofar as the business side or the career side of what you're trying to do. Yeah. And for me, that then influences to say, where then do you spend your efforts, energy, and money into? For others, it might be seminars. For others, it might be business seminars as well. So how do you sharpen your core? And I think probably there's a level of investment you have to put into that. That's one side. But I think on the other side, I mean, we humans, I always had this notion, and my friends used to laugh at varsity. I used to say, I don't think I was meant to only pay the bills. So I think for me, if I take it personally, I'm known, if you ask me where do I spend my finances, about four things. It's books, I'm a sucker for experiences, and Ankara prints, right? So that is me.
That's you.
Yeah. But
what's number four?
Number four now, right? I got to then experience the love of a 9-year-old who's into gaming. So I think sometimes we spend much more on gaming.
By default. Gamer now.
Then we should. All right, then we should. But I think for me, I mean, then we bring it to personal branding. I think if I look at where I spend most of my energy, even finances for that matter. I think there's a level of Gcobisa, you have to sharpen your saw insofar as your career and what you want to see going forward. So there's some investment that one has to do. And not all of it, by the way, is finance. I think some is time and energy. And then I think on a personal front, it's always to say, am I really still spending on the experiences that I want? Am I creating those for myself? Am I curating those type? So I think my balance around spending is that I do think nowadays, and I mean, podcasts like this are quite actually relevant and we should do a lot more of. There's a lot more education that's there around how we really should be looking at spend, looking at finances, what is good investment and what is not. So and that is a journey we all have to go through. And I'm one of the individuals that's still really on this learning journey that says what is really good finances, what is the persona I have of myself insofar as wealth creation is concerned.
Sure.
Yeah, that's just amazing. So I'm happy that you've laid the foundation nicely for us. Just for someone, I mean, we use personal branding a lot and people throw that phrase around a lot. But I wanted us to move now to a part you mentioned when you were speaking about the personal brand itself and how it's meant to help you unlock doors and get you into spaces. So getting into the space. So I'm fully aware of who Doric is now. I'm authentic. I've done the work. I've refined myself. How do I walk into the room and take up space? What does that look like? According to Go. According to Go. Like she's changed immediately. She's like, she's like, no.
No, it's an interesting one. And the reason, honestly, there's a big age. I think culturally over time, there's been a male-female dynamic to taking up space. It comes easy to the male gender. Yet for us as females, sometimes it's a tad work. There's work that you have to do. But I think for me, I always say this, we have to take up space in a manner that's authentic to us. There's been a view that for Ugo to take up space, I have to act a different way than who I am. And I always say we have to have a lot more faith and belief in ourselves, honestly, especially as females, but also think we have to trust who we are. I mean, if this is Gcobisa, let me take up space in a manner that's truly who I am. Right? Because then I don't have to work so hard trying to be something I'm not. I think that's that. There is a level, though, where I say we must look at also where the world is going to, where the trends are, and say, am I really taking spaces in relevant topics or rooms that talk to who I am? So I think it's that, but I do think, especially from a female perspective, sometimes we overthink more than we must just go in and act it out.
And do it.
Wow. So I'm going to put you in the spot because you deal with people, obviously. And so when you were going into your career, just going up the ladder, what would you say was your superpower when you walked into a room? We all have a superpower. So I'm just curious to know, when you walked into the room to take up space, what is that one thing that you had that you'd like to share that someone could possibly have the same thing? And they'd be like, actually, I have that same thing with Gcobisa and I. One or two things. How you take up space in a room.
So the first one, I mean, I smile a lot. It's just my thing.
Disarming us.
Disarming us. And I felt that whenever I go to a room, it's who I am.
You light
then
up a room.
The tempo just, I mean, I'm high energy. But I think I've got unassuming power. My personality is one that's a bit somber. I don't have this big personality. But I've got immense self-belief in myself. And I think people can't take that away from me. And then when you package that with really working hard and focusing on what you want to do. And I think thirdly, really interaction. Sometimes we get to interact and meet personas or personalities that really shape us or mentor us along the way. So I probably say it's maybe a combination of those three that I just think the nature of who I am. And I love people. I mean, you would laugh, but one of the passions I have, and I hope it's a passion and not a fetish. I think it's a passion.
We have to
tell us more.
Tell us more.
One of the passions I have is and that's why I love Joburg in summer. I like going to a restaurant, take a book sometimes. I sit outside and I observe people passing by.
People watching. Yes.
And I always ask myself, I wonder what's happening in their world
in their
today.
world
Today, why is she dressed?
I'm
in
so
that
happy I'm
color?
not alone.
What are they talking about? What are they arguing about? And so I love observing. And I think for me, and it goes to these things that I was saying earlier, that sometimes we think in corporate, we must talk a lot, we must always have a say. But sometimes it's just observing the dynamics at play, listening, and then saying, how then do I make an impact in this space? So I think for me, really, if I summarize, it's my unassuming personality, but I'm very high energy. I really think so. I not only love what I do, I believe in it because I truly make an impact at a human level, honestly. And I think 3, we interact and engage with people along the way. Let's make the best use of it.
Yes.
Because sometimes what they say about you when you're not around unlocks that other door.
Yes.
And not the one you were looking at.
Sure.
That is such a powerful
That
statement.
is such a powerful thing because sometimes it's not the door that you were aiming for or
Correct.
you were knocking at. It's the one beyond because of the impact. I love that.
Yeah,
I love that.
So I'm just picking up that obviously when we're talking about the personal brand, if you were talking about marketing and a brand overall type of conversation, you've got reputation management when it comes to your brand.
Yes.
So if I'm not watching how I interact with people, and that has an impact on how people will talk about me behind the scenes, so that determines whether the door will be opened or people will just say, she won't be appropriate for this one, simply because of an encounter or an experience someone had with you. So I love the points that you're highlighting for us today. So let's also talk about the law of attraction.
Yes.
How that is so important. Why must I be aware of the law of attraction in this instance, aligning it with what we've been talking about in terms of the personal brand?
So I live a lot in my head. So I'm a deep thinker. I like analyzing things, and sometimes to my detriment, because sometimes I think, don't overthink it. It's too much here. Let it play out. But I think where I probably would say the law of attraction for me is a key thing is you live out things that you focus your mind and energy on.
Sure.
So if my focus is a positive one, right, then even in my interactions with you, I come already with the glass is half full. I come already with good intentions. So I always say if we do that, I think it's good because then we package who we are, we're consistent to who we are in a manner that is positive. We can't always control what people say about us. And I frankly say if 10 people, 9 of them experienced me positive and then 1 probably we didn't, at least I've got 10 positive experiences about me that are out there. So it's a key one that let's focus on the good things that are always happening. I mean, with South Africa, with the world, it's easy to get distracted. But I really think we sometimes become what we attract. So if you focus on that, if Gcobisa is not only saying, I'll be Chief People Officer at African Bank, but saying, you know what, I'm here to truly make an impact at a broader level. Then I'll focus my energies on things that make an impact also broadly. So it's a good one to have. And I think if we can build it in the mental aptitudes that we have, it becomes in a good tool that you reach on from time to time.
Sure. Whew. And as we wrap things up, I like the things that you've touched on because I think when we speak about personal branding, when we speak personal branding, the importance of awareness, right? And Jobusho, how people experience you. I mean, I think the numbers actually seems like it goes down now. I think growing up, I used to hear the first 3 seconds. I think now it's the first 2 seconds. That people are going to, engage with you. It will determine how, what they think of you. But also, I think what's also quite important to always consider that even if they make that, you can still correct it or rectify it or make it real to what you want to put across, is that people don't remember what you look like, what you said. It's how you made them feel, right? So I would like us to get to that point, because I want somebody to think, not just us with you in the space here today, but I would like, somebody who's sitting, watching this, to remember how you made them feel in terms of correcting, aligning, giving more energy into their personal brand, and also extending that to how they deal with imali. If you have anything that you can think of to just assist that person, because sometimes, we're having these conversations because they always so taboo. Siyasaba ukusho ukuthi, yo, hayi ke Doric, ngaspenda ke on 3 pairs of shoes. Baby girl, I didn't do right there by myself, to encourage, because I think you're right in saying it's how we do what we do. So to encourage people to say, course correct. Yes. You still have time. Don't be harsh on self. And just once you do more of the right thing bit by bit, the right thing will then start flowing towards you.
Yeah. So 3, I probably look at it in 3 regards. I think the one is, I really like the whole thing around how people feel. And typically, I think, especially for South Africans, it should not be a difficult thing. We come from the notions of Ubuntu, you are because of others. Yeah. We come from community-based type of setups, right? So I think that for me is key in really playing an impact on, I meet you for the first 2 minutes. Then because I'm who I am, and because I am hearing you at your level, then I'm able to have that effect and impact on you. The other side of it, though, is there's the whole notions around the digital era. And part of it is in my control, but part of it not really so. And I think for me is there's the deliberate stances or steps we have to do to say, is the content about me or of me in a manner or direction that talks to this brand that I want people to know of me, right?
Yeah.
So that's the second one. I think the third one around money matters. It's truly for me, how do we course correct over time?
Yes.
But also have a big appreciation that money matters are not as simplistic sometimes as we make it up to be.
Yeah.
We come, some of us, from spaces where when you make wealth or when you start making wealth, it's not all about you.
Yeah.
It's about this entourage of a community that actually helped leapfrog you because they had all the faith in you.
Yeah.
But now you must take that and help the others.
Yeah, cut back.
Yeah. So sometimes it's how do we balance? And for me, it's how do we balance how we enjoy the financial freedom we have versus really helping others so that they also move along this journey.
Yeah.
And it's something we have to always package. And I've always come from a space where I've always reflected a lot around, sometimes we call it black tax or whatnot, but I've always said what part of it is really us now that we are on this other side, coming back and taking the others along.
Yeah.
So it's a journey one has to walk, but I do think not only corporates and such platforms, we really must, I like the effort that it's been made, and I think we have to continue on it to say, how do we continue educating people around this? And you made a good example of it. Sometimes it's not about us wanting to make $1 million, but it's to say, oh, just buy 1 pair of shoes so that you can buy sugar instead of the 2. You know, so it's sometimes just simple behaviors, but over time they create the right attitude towards our finances. So I think it's I would say it's probably those 3 type of things. But honestly, financial well-being and financial freedom, I think it's a journey that we discover along the way.
Sure.
I hope you took some notes.
Listen,
mentally.
Mina ngiyahamba ngoDecember siyengcobo.
Okay.
Siyengcobo ngoDecember because so to stay up and then we discuss this thing. You know, nothing is nice as in you're around a fire eating inyama and you're having these real conversations.
Real conversations about money and getting the bag.
Yes.
But she was dropping a lot of gems for us today, and we're so grateful for you to come through. Taking your time to come and share your wisdom is something that we do not take lightly. So if you were watching this, I hope you also grasp the importance of your personal brand equity.
Yeah.
You know, understand that once you get everything in line, that is the kind of stuff that must bring wealth to you. So be aware, be authentic, walk into that room, take up space, and get the bag while you're at it, because this is a conversation about getting the bag, ladies.
Yes, we want you to get the bag.
We want you to get the bag. And when you get the bag, remember to serve.
Yeah.
Giving back to people, because that's the whole point. She's a people person.
Yes.
And it's good that you added that dash towards the end. But we're so grateful to have you here with us. And please remember to watch this episode, share with other women as well, even men.
Yeah.
There are other men who've been watching our episodes and they're saying, hey, I'm learning a lot. So we are definitely not fighting against men on this platform.
We always need to have allies. And I think when people understand where you're coming from, it's easy for them to support. So share with everybody.
Yes. And to use this, yes, Gcobisa, who's the Group Chief People Officer right here at African Bank, was saying thank you to our guest. And this is me, Doric Sitole, with Ukanya Sosibo on Unlock Women. Like I said, go onto the YouTube channel, like, share, subscribe, and remember to watch the next episode. And this is where we say goodbye. And we're talking money, 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 money.